There we are.
Hello.
A very pleasant good afternoon as we welcome you into the Lion Country Key, a Goon and Ironhead show here at Quaker Steak Lube. We'll be along with the radio audience in just a moment. You and me is we won't be here on Thursday, so we've got to try to get through it as best we can over the next couple of hours. Let's start with, I think we talked a little bit here before we started the show, but very impressive performance for Penn State. But the thing I think I love the most about Saturday, Goon, is, and maybe we'll get to grades or kind of thoughts overall. I think while there's certainly a lot to like, I think there are certainly a couple of areas that are a concern, outright concern, and a couple of areas that I think are just remain question marks right now for the upcoming season. We'll go through all of this over the course of the program. I want to start, though, with I'm going to go back to the now infamous here, James Franklin elite press conference. We're going to get elite. I don't know how this season is going to play out. There's obviously a long way to go. I was kind of joking with Landon Tengwall on the post-game show Saturday. It's like, fans tend to overreact with the opening game, and we can't sit here decisively and say Penn State's going to win the national title, but they're obviously going to be in the title game. And do you think they match up well with Georgia or Ohio State? What say you, Landon? We had some fun with that. Listen, I do think this looks like a team that could make that kind of a run, that could be a Final Four team. But here's why I think they really have a great shot of that. And probably I would have told you the same thing at the start of last season. But I would not have been as definitive as I think I am now. I think Penn State has elite coordinators. I think Andy Kotelnicki is among the handful of the best offensive coordinators in the country. I think Tom Allen is among the handful of the best defensive coordinators in the country. When you have elite coaching on both sides of the ball, and that's taking nothing away from the staffs. I mean, it's those two headed up, but I just think they are elite. I think Penn State has a terrific top-to-bottom staff right now. But when you have two guys, and we'll get to, I think, one of the concerns that James Franklin expressed, and I think some fans had after the game, we'll see how it plays out. I'm actually going to turn it around and say that I will take that in a heartbeat. And I was listening to Chris Buccanati, and we'll go through some of the analysis that he had, which I think was great. I just have a little different take on what I think many perceive as, again, not an overwhelming concern. I don't think anybody's doom and gloom about, oh, man, this is just going to be a penalty.
See what you've got going on here.
Penalty-riddled team. But no question, the penalties on Saturday, when you are 8-1, your team has the 8 and the other team has the 1. That's not where you want to be. But my takeaway on that, Goon, is those penalties were largely aggressive penalties. And we talked about this with Landon a little bit on the post-game show as well on Saturday, and that is I will take aggressive penalties early in a season, early in a game, or aggressive mistakes. And I'll get to the extra point here in a moment because I loved it. I mean, I didn't love the result. I love the fact that they went for it. I love the play call, and I'm okay with it every which way, but we can get into that in a moment. I will, again, every day of the week, take over aggressive early in a game, early in a season over kind of what I think became the MO last year, which is, oh, we're not going to make a mistake. We're being very careful. We won't make. No, man, give me aggressive. We'll take our shots. Now, if you're making the same mistakes midway through the season and you're getting offsides and you're jumping, yep, okay, now we've got a problem. You got to learn from it. But I am more than okay with the defensive ends, and I'm going to try to get an edge. 5 yards. I'm count me among maybe the few. I'm okay with that. I'll take that every day. Again, for this game. Now, again, will my view change if with Illinois up here we get 3 or 4 more offsides penalties? Nope. Then yeah, you've got to adjust. You've got to figure out how to control the aggression. But I actually, even some of the negatives that were there on Saturday, one game in, I don't think I'm not signing up for, oh boy, this looks like a problem area for the team.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, the guys, you're talking about Abdul Carter coming on offsides, defensive line wise, but I think that they want to be super aggressive.
I don't know why we're not getting your mic. Are you on?
I might be on the wrong one. The whole triple try.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Hang on. No, that's not it. Do we want that? Maybe we'll. Oh, that's going to be. Try that.
How's that for the big cat?
Oh, that's better.
How's that for the big cat right
All
there?
right.
Big cat. We're going to get rid of this John over here. So that's
All
Oh,
right.
yeah. So very aggressive penalties. I'm completely fine with. I go back to this was really the first time that it was live across the board.
Yep.
I.e., you can't simulate full football in a preseason practice. You could try to and this and that, but you don't want to. You don't want to get guys hurt. So they were aggressive penalties, being offsides and stuff like that. I'm okay with it. I'm quite content with it. I mean, we have a defensive line. I mean, I don't know. I had Nick Dawkins on my player show last night. He was talking about how like I think that James is looking back about 6 or 7 years ago and saying, why the heck didn't I put Micah Parsons at defensive end? Because that's the first thing they did in the NFL was put him in that defensive end and let him go wreak havoc. And that's what Abdul was doing on Saturday. I thought he played a very good game. You could tell he was very raw and rusty. That was his first game as a full-time defensive end at the collegiate level.
Yep.
Made some plays, but also had a couple, glaring mistakes and stuff like that. But, again, the fact that you have the ability, we talked about it on Thursday, the fact that you have the ability to put a Abdul Carter at defensive end because you were that loaded or that stacked at linebacker is fantastic. And I think that was proven Saturday with how our linebackers played. And
Yeah.
I am all like I go back to what I said Thursday. Tom Allen comes to Penn State, and he's a great Big Ten defensive coordinator, and he's been dealing with Indiana players for 10 years, 12, 15 years, whatever, however long. And now he goes out there, and now he has 4 or 5 stars on defense and probably 6 4-stars. He probably never had a 5-star player in his Indiana program, and he has 4 or 5 on defense right now that are just werewolves out there. And you can't tell me that guy does not wake up in the morning going, I cannot wait to go to work. With the embarrassment of riches is what he's probably thinking, what he has right now.
Yep.
And I'm okay with the aggressive penalties and stuff like that. But yet, if at Illinois, and then teams will pick up on it. They know that our defensive ends are aggressive. They are going to do everything in their power to simulate and do this or that to get those offsides calls on them, just to try to slow them down. Oh.
And we're
Jeez, Louise. Might be cursed here,
I'm telling.
So, again, aggressive penalties, that's all defensively, but offensively, I know you want to talk about it, so you can lead us down that next path or whatever, but I'm okay. But again, at Illinois, at Ohio State, at UCLA, with UCLA, USC, they're going to pick up on aggressiveness on the defensive end and try to keep those guys slowed down as much as possible, just because, I mean, those guys were getting upfield extraordinarily fast on Saturday. And the kid, I'm watching the left tackle from West Virginia, and they say he has first-round caliber talent at left tackle.
Yeah.
And he was very good. And he did not dominate Abdul. Abdul didn't dominate him, but Abdul more than held his own against a future first-rounder. And he made some plays, and Abdul's doing very, very well for himself. And Tom Allen's a very, very happy man I think, with what he's got. And James is too. We got to take our hat off to James Franklin for this performance. One is it started back in January, February when he hired Tom Allen and Andy Kovacic.
Yep.
I mean, I know we'll get into the offense here in a little bit. I got some unbelievable news yesterday from Nick Dawkins. Total Nick, he said he is a great dresser. And I said, bro, I've only seen him on a football field. He's got sleeveless t-shirt. He looks like Larry the Cable Guy out there coaching football. And he's like, no, you don't understand. He wears like these sharp coats and ties and pants and this and that for meetings and all. And I'm like, dude, again, I see Larry the Cable Guy, and here he is inside the building, and he's all dapper Dan.
See,
I was happy.
Preconceived notions. No, there's a whole lot to like. I think there are a few things that, for me, I would not even put them as concerns. They're just unanswered, and that's okay through one game. The biggest unanswered to me is, does Penn State have enough consistency throughout its receiving corps, enough guys who are going to make plays to be able to get where they want to be? And again, this is all predicated on, can Penn State, I'm going to say, get to the Final Four. Like, to me, if Penn State is one of the Final Four teams standing, regardless of what happens at that point, there's no way you could quantify or qualify this season as anything other than a success. I mean, that is the next step right now for Penn State that they clearly haven't been able to achieve. Now, getting to the playoffs, yeah, they haven't been there, but with 12 teams, I'm just saying that the detractors, the folks that, you are what you are, you're a 10-ish program in the country. Well, getting to the playoffs doesn't change that perception or that criticism. And even winning a game, for me, that's going to qualify then as a success. You're getting into the Final Eight. You've advanced in the playoffs for the first time. But again, I think there are people that can come back and say, well, yeah, but if it wasn't for the new format, you're still not a playoff team, not a real playoff team, all of that. If you get to the Final Four, there's no question Penn State then has taken the next step. So
there are two teams to be upset if they don't make the Final Four: Ohio State and Georgia. If they don't make the Final Four, they're upset with that season. Everybody else in the country would be happy with the Final Four.
Well, it's interesting. I think to a large degree that's true, but yeah, Alabama just expects to be there regardless. And I'll tell you, with the money that Oregon and Texas have poured in, and I get that there's 4 spots and we just mentioned 5 teams, but I'm telling you, the boosters of Texas and the boosters of Oregon, that they are not going into this with like, oh yeah, we're okay if we're 5th. That's not what the expectation is within, I think, the majority of those fan bases. And there's probably some other teams in it. Yeah. All of that being said, so we just don't know on the receiver front. Trey Wallace looked like Trey Wallace from a year ago. I think many of us have suspected if Trey Wallace can remain healthy, and that is the big need to me for this team, is they need Trey Wallace to stay healthy. If Harrison Wallace III gets through the entire season and is out there, I think he's going to put up big-time numbers, and I think he is a legit big-time one receiver. The question is, can Amari Evans be a guy that consistently, he made a couple of nice plays on Saturday, but Liam Clifford, can he be the possession guy? Can Hayden Saunders get in there? Yes, can Julian Fleming be a difference maker for this team? And we just didn't get answers. The offense, one of the things that we talked about on the postgame Saturday was that the lack of a consistent running game. But part of that was the big plays didn't give you that opportunity to, hey, let's grind it out. Like Katron Allen just didn't. It was kind of a spotty game for him, but I think part of it was that offense never got into a rhythm because, boom, it was down the field with big plays. I mean, in some ways, it was. I mean, we used to joke about the '94 team because it's like, man, the time of possession is always on the other team. Well, yeah, it's because Penn State, John Carter just broke off a 75-yard run. Oh, there's Gary Collins throwing another 60-yard touchdown pass. It's like, well, yeah, because Penn State was scoring so darn fast. Now, this wasn't quite that degree of offense, but I am so excited, Goon, because I do think this team, as the season wears on, I think this offensive line is going to come together to a point where it can grind out the tough yards if need be. I don't know that it's there right now as we sit here today, but I think it is going to get there, and I think it's going to get there sooner rather than later. And I think with that, the running back core they have, and with Drew Aller, and that's another one of my – it's for me, you're not going to know with Drew Aller. Like, I liked what I saw Saturday. I think he's on a good path. I think it's a good trajectory. But kind of like Penn State fans are saying, I need to see it against Michigan or Ohio State. I need to see Drew Aller in a pressure game. And it could be at USC. If USC plays the way and looks the way it did Sunday night, maybe that'll be that. But you've got to see Drew Aller, to me, in a big game, under pressure, under duress, needing to be the leader, making a mistake early. Then does the body language speak the way you want it to? Does he respond and still make some big plays and keep his team in? Again, no reason at the moment to think he can't, or really either way. No reason to necessarily believe he can, because we didn't see it in those two biggest games last year. But whether or not he's taken that next step, we didn't find that out against West Virginia. We're not going to be able to find that out until we get into one of those games where he has to be the unquestioned leader and respond in those clutch situations.
We talked about it the last 8 months since last season, and that was what is the best friend of the passing game in the quarterback? So,
yep.
I got to get on my soapbox right now, and I got to take my hat off. That was the best offensive line play I've seen since A.Q. Shipley, Rich Hornberger, Wisniewski, Dennis Landau, that Levi Brown, like 05 to 08, 09 era. The best offensive line. And this is coming off of a team that had 3 NFL picks last year. The way that offensive line played on Saturday, they played decisive, they played confident, and they played aggressive. Yes. I mean, aggressive. And then I know we will talk about it, but watching some of the pictures, especially with like Gracie Brennan from on or 24/7 was taken of the guys underneath the overhang and stuff like that. These guys are out there in chairs, and Mark was like, "This is 375 or 650 pounds of men right there," and that was our right side of our offensive line.
Yeah,
and then our left side, Shelton playing left tackle. He looked svelte.
He did.
320.
Yes.
And he looked athletic. I'm telling you, I've not seen this from our guys. Like, I'm with Doc last night, and I'm marveling at the size of him and this and that as a center. And he's 300-some pounds, and you're just like, my goodness gracious. We are big and physical, and I don't know if that was a non-physical West Virginia team, but I would highly doubt it was. But
yeah, I will
coming
say
out of that game, like, my head is in cloud 9 watching that offensive and tight end blocking go around out there. That running game was nasty the other day. And again, like we have said, that opens up the play action and opens up the deep crossing routes and the tight ends popping downfield. And look at all our touchdowns.
Yeah,
every one of them was something very, very similar to that.
Yeah, so there are a few things, few more things I want to get on the table here in the opening segment, and then we'll maybe regroup, take a look at the big picture stuff, because it was, to me, a fascinating opening weekend to the college football season, above and beyond Penn State's performance at West Virginia. But
top to bottom,
sticking with Penn State's performance at West Virginia, one of the things Chris put in it as his, I forget how he worded it, negative or and I think he even admitted he's kind of quibbling, but did not like the 2-point play because you don't want to be chasing points. And I understand that mentality to a certain degree. There's a few things I'll just throw out there because, again, I had no problem with it, and I actually loved the play call. You got Prebula in space. You had some options there for him to throw, and obviously he had the option to run. And by the way, he had the receiver open. If he throws it just a half second earlier, they're up 8-0. Here is why I actually loved it, even with it not working. I keep going back to I want over-aggressive early in a game, early in a season. I'll take that every time, even if it doesn't work, because if it works, man, does it pay off. And if it doesn't, you have time to adjust, figure things out, get guys into different positions and get a different understanding. I really think part of that, and I don't know this, but I think part of that was, one, I think they felt really good about the play call. And I think they should have felt really good about the play call. I think it was there.
You're right, it was there.
But even with that, even with it not working, that now is on tape. So while I think most teams, you're kind of presuming, all right, Penn State just scored a touchdown. Let's get our extra point team out. Now you've got to at least hesitate on the other sideline. And it's like, wait a second. We know that they sometimes, maybe it's the only time all year they go for it. Maybe this is what they do after every opening touchdown. We have no idea, and neither does Penn State's opponents. Well, now it's something else that they've got to prepare for. And I get it. Teams are preparing for we're not reinventing the wheel. I understand that. But it's out there now, and it's something that you have on tape. You've seen that play. Now Penn State can, and this is what I love about what I think is an elite offensive coordinator in Kotelnicki, is I think everything they do is done with the idea of, yep, let's try to be successful, but also let's see what the defense shows us here, what they do, and then we will react to that. Oh, they brought this guy up. Oh, they dropped that guy back. Well, next time, now, I understand defenses are playing the game too. It's like, well, we're going to show you this look here, and next time. That, to me, again, it's the fun of sports. It's the fun of coaching. You're always trying to get those matchups and see. But I think Kotelnicki getting a look at what these guys are doing defensively, I think a lot of what they did in that first quarter was just, hey, let's see what West Virginia is showing. Let's see what they're doing, and then we will adjust and change our offense around to do it. And so we will continue to do that throughout the course of the season. Yes is going to be the short answer to the question from the audience. So I do think when you look at this offense, while I loved what we saw on Saturday, I think what we're going to see down the road, Goon, is going to be even better, because I think they are setting stuff up and they're going to be playing off of it. And it's why, again, I leave it as an incomplete regarding the receiving corps, because it's not like I think what we saw Saturday in terms of pass routes and everything else is all we're going to see throughout the course of the season.
Yeah, I really thought we saw a vanilla offense out there for what Kotelnicki has in his repertoire, to be honest with you. I think that was established to run, get the play action pass going. Let's get Aller, get him throws out there where he made them. He made some very impressive throws. The 2-point conversion, I go back to the Michigan game next year, and it was everybody was so high, including me and you.
Yep.
What they went into that game is our first touchdown, we go for 2. We're going to do it. But the timing of that going for 2 in that game was horrendous, because at the time it was not the right time to go for 2.
Yeah.
Where to jump on your back with the whole, it's early in the game, they went in there, you get a little momentum going if you get that 2-point conversion and stuff like that. I don't think they were really worried about not being able to outscore West Virginia that game that day. So I just think they just went after it and just tried to build the momentum a little bit. and have a little fun out there. I mean, if you watch this team practice on like, they seem like they're having fun. They really do. I mean, I'm honestly looking at this team, and I'm really like digging it big time with how well they're playing, how well they played the other day, how they practice and stuff like that, and how they help themselves. Coaching to the bottom, and then James did an unbelievable job. We talked about this on Thursday night on our show, and that was okay. You know what? They expected those afternoon rain showers to come, those thunderstorms, so they weren't going to get stuck like they did at Michigan State. Well, that was a fluke one. That was a weird one out there, like 6-8 years ago. I don't know when. I think it was 18. But they didn't have water. They didn't have snacks. Didn't have food. And they're sending cops out to go get them 400 sandwiches. I think James had it. You learn from what you've done in the past, stuff like that. And they went down there. They had their own water. They had their own little snacks, and then they had a backup plan if there was a long, long delay, that there would be a place to go get food type of thing. So hats off to James. I mean, he did a heck of a job that game in a very, very, very hostile environment. I know that some of the pre-games when the guys were Doc was telling me last night that there was some the students were, because I had warned those guys. I was like, hey, listen, I played down in West Virginia in 1992. It's crazy. It's insane how you've got grandmas giving double finger digits to to your coaching and yelling at you and this and that. So very hostile environment. They went in there and again, we talked about it. This is a mature team that knows what they're doing. I think that they're so very, very well led from inside, as in their captains. I'm excited for this team, and I have been since Saturday watching that game, and then even more so last night talking to Doc about the mindset of the players and this and that going in, and how he's working. He's talking with the offensive line, how they're talking about going out and dominating and this and that, and our defensive line. I mean, we're just talking about the offensive line, but I'll tell you that defensive line, that was a lot. I mean, I don't know where or what in the hay the referees were looking at, even on like reviews on those fourth down plays. But I'm like, somebody's got some money on something. I mean, that was like, how can you even like remotely even think that was close or not reviewable type of thing? And like, what was that spot? Where's that coming from? A very shoddily referee game.
Yes, and some questionable calls at best, both ways for sure. I will say that the Evans, and maybe I have the little white glasses on. I really thought that was, but I honestly, like, I don't think if there had been a flag thrown, it's like, well, okay. I mean, I can see that. But I don't think it's as egregious as what some West Virginia fans were making it sound, because I think it was hand fighting both. It's just Evans got through on his, and like they were both trying to push, and Evans just happened to do the better job of it. No, it was gigantic. And going back to the aggressiveness, that aggressive mentality, that is, rather than let's just get to the locker room, we've got the lead. Nope, let's try to open it up and see if we can create another opportunity here. And I even if it hadn't worked, even if the offensive pass interference was called, I love the mentality. I think that mentality is how you're going to give yourself an opportunity to try to become a national title contending program. I just, that aggressive attitude, maybe you temper it, maybe you figure out, I'm not saying you just always go all out, everything, 0 to 60 on the gas pedal. But early in a game, early in a season, I'm okay with that. And then, all right, let's figure out, maybe pare it back here, maybe let it fly even a little more there. The one thing, and I just want to pick up on it because I do think that it is really important, and we see it with the wrestling program all of the time, but it is that mentality of letting it fly, and that it is a game. Like, these guys are putting a ton of time, a ton of energy into it. It is important. Like, this is a big deal to them. But this isn't actually defining their lives. And this isn't win or lose, that they get to go be with family, be with friends. They're still pursuing degrees. They're still getting money now, all of that, right? But when you put that time and energy into it, you want results, but you better be able to have some fun while you're doing it. It is a game at the end of the day. And you want to be able to go out and I think both Tom Allen and Andy Kotelnicki, and again, I'm bringing those two up because they are the coordinators and they're the new guys, but it is the staff as a whole. I think there is that mentality that, yep, this is important. It is a big deal, but if we make a mistake, okay, it's life. You go on, you learn from it, and you move forward. But let's have some fun. Let's take some risks and see what happens. And I think when you have that's easier to do also when you have the athletes that this program has now, when you have the depth that this program has now, right? That's a little easier to let it flow. When you have a Bo Nickel or a Vincenzo Joseph, yeah, they can go out and try those throws. And if they don't work early, you trust that they're going to be able to figure it out. Well, yeah, because they're very, very elite, skilled guys. I think Drew Aller, Nicholas Singleton, you start going through the list. KJ Winston got the Defensive Player of the Week, and flip a coin. I actually thought Jalen Reed, coming off of that game, I'm like, man, Reed was, again, he didn't have as many tackles, but the impact that he had, and they both had in that secondary, I mean, the safeties, Wheaton, across the board. But you mentioned earlier about the linebackers and being able to move Abdul Carter. That's the other thing that I think Tom Allen has to absolutely be loving right now, which is the way they can mix and match all three phases of the defense. That defensive line is great right now, and I think has a chance to play itself into even better than that across the board. That linebacking core and the different elements that they have in it, I think there's just endless possibilities with the way you can use those guys, and you can change that lineup if you face like a Michigan team from a year ago with that run game. Fine, let's bring in some size. Let's get the run stuffers. Oops, wait, we have a team that's just going to pass the ball all over the field or try to do that. Fine. Again, with that secondary, you bring in a couple of different backers that have that type of ability. And again, I think this defense can attack you in so many different ways from all three levels. And I think that's going to be fun for Tom Allen and for that team to kind of figure out each week, all right, let's try this out there. Much the same way Andy Kotelnicki is going to be doing it with offense. And I think, again, I feel really good about the offensive line, feel great about the tight ends, feel great about the running backs, feel good to great about the quarterback. Again, I just want to see it in the pressure situation. Nothing he can do about not having that pressure situation until, I think, likely USC. Although I will say Illinois is a team I'm keeping an eye on. Not necessarily that I think they're going to come in here to Beaver Stadium and knock them off. Although we have seen that before, is my understanding, dear Goon. But I really think their line play will be a test. I mean, I think Brett Bielema, I think he does a great job of getting that part of his game, yes, together. So I'm curious to see that test. Maybe not in terms of, oh boy, that's dangerous trap game in terms of an L on the season, but just, man, we might learn a little bit more about where we're at on both sides of the line with this team this year in that game.
And just build on what we had this past week. And that's like I talked to Nick last night. I said, the 9014, you've heard me say it a million times, that the swagger we have about us. And that was like, we go into any building and you're going to win. That is a swagger. That is like, hey, we're here. You're going to lose. We're going to do what we want to you. We're going to win this game. And that's the attitude these guys have right now. I think they're very, very well led from captainship that they all know what they're doing. They're all confident in what they're doing. They're so very well coached. Again, Nick could not be more happy or proud or whatever.
Yeah.
And amazed at Koto Nicky and how he handled himself and his playbook and this and that. And he's like, dude, there's so much more we got going on. There was some stuff that he talked about during the show that I had not known, and that was that we watch the NFL games. And the quarterback goes to the sideline and gets on an iPad and he walks around, see whatever. Well, now the offensive line can do that. The whole offense. It's a new rule in college football. So it was. I thought that talking about it at the game, how guys were, going through their film, watching their film. The coaches had already graded the first half. It was so funny when we were saying it. But Nick told me that no, they can come off the sideline after a series. Yeah. And you see that it used to be just Polaroid, remember back in the day when the Polaroids faxed down. Now it is an iPad, and they can just sit there and watch the defense. And Nick's talking about, you're out there, and you're saying, well, I know what they did today, the TD stunt right there, how they lined up. Okay, so now you're going to start looking at how the guy lined up. That's a lot of tells out there. So, and he was saying to me last night, and it was great because as an offensive lineman, you can read it during the game, but it's tough to comprehend when playing and then you hit and then you go back to the huddle. Okay. But now you got video evidence of what you had just seen and what they had done. And now you can put one and two together. And I'm interested to see how that works throughout the year. But again, break here. But I'm ecstatic at how the offense did. I'm excited to have the team play first. One, how they handled themselves before the game, because I heard it was pretty disgusting. Some of their fans were saying racial stuff. That's the stuff you don't want to hear. And good for them not taking the bait and getting into their game and stuff like that. So, but how they went out there, just did their business and got it done. And it was just, again, workman like effort. You got a hard hat on, you got a lunch pail, you're coming to work, you're going to sit there and say they're working for 3 hours. It's beautiful.
Not a bad start to the season. That is for sure. We will take a break here. We are back with more from Quaker Steak Lube in State College. It is the Lion Country Kia Goon Ironhead show here on a Tuesday afternoon. We are coming right back here on Sports Radio 98.7.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
The Center Hall Farm Store has been serving Center County and beyond for well over a half century. A small family business, the Center Hall Farm Store specializes in animal nutrition and manufactures its feed fresh using local ingredients. Get the best in horse, cow, pig, chicken, and bird feeds. If you're not already a customer, stop in and see why so many of your neighbors are. The Center Hall Farm Store at 110 West Allison Street in Center Hall, or call us at 814-364-1393.
The State College Spikes are hitting the field all summer long. Enjoy fun, affordable family entertainment as the future of baseball is on display in Happy Valley. Spikes games have something for everyone at the new-look Medler Field at Leblano Park. From great giveaways to fantastic deals, from special appearances to plenty of fireworks, all the way through September 3rd. For tickets, call 814-272-1711 or get the schedule and buy and download at statecollegespikes.com.
Ready to be part of something bigger? Come pave the road to success at Glen Baker and discover a career where your hard work and determination can build a bigger, better future. Our team believes we can build a stronger future together. Join us at Glen Baker, where we value teamwork on the field and on the job. Go to GOHcareers.com to apply. GOHcareers.com. And best of luck to all the Center County sports teams all season long from everyone at Glen Baker.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
The Goon and Ironhead.
On a Tuesday afternoon here in the Valley of Happiness. Again, Goon and I will be down at a really terrific event on Thursday in the Harrisburg area and will not be here on Thursday. So,
Booch and Tangwall.
Chris Buganati and Landon Tangwall will be manning the airwaves for the 2-hour period here from 2 to 4 on Thursday. And so Goon and I will be back a week from today, and obviously break down at that point the Bowling Green game. We'll get predictions for that later in the show today. But a couple of other things.
The NFL,
Goon, yes, it is. Yeah, now we're into full throttle football season. We have high school, college, and NFL action all on tap, and this is the way it is supposed to be, dear Goon. Looking forward to it and loving it. Great weekend for college football. Fun start to the season. Another big win for the Big Ten over an SEC school. It's USC. USC beat LSU in Vegas. I will say, Goon, I was very impressed with USC's defense and the degree that they hit in that game. That was a physical game both ways, but I thought USC won that battle. And anytime you can have an unhappy Brian Kelly in the post-game sign me, there are certain things that just warm my heart, and seeing Brian Kelly unhappy in a post-game press conference is just one of those things. And yes, it's small, it's petty, taking pleasure in another's pain. In a sports sense, yep, sign me up every time for it. I'm small, I'm petty, I admit it, I take pleasure in it, and I did enjoy watching USC win that game and, hold up the Big Ten banner with pride in a primetime matchup Sunday.
Correct. I mean, the whole weekend started Thursday with North Dakota State versus Colorado in prime. That game was great. A fantastic game to watch. It really put Prime in a light that I see him at, and not many people do as of yet, but it's coming. And that is, end of the game. You have the ability to needle the game out, and you have your son throwing long bombs because you want him to get 500 yards passing offense and win the high. I mean, there's no hiding in what he's trying to do out there. I get it. It's his son, but it's daddy ball. What we're playing out there, and how petulant he is with the media. It's insane. And I made a prediction the other day. I say I don't think Deion physically is going to finish the season because if they lose a couple of games, i.e. this week to Nebraska, hold the banner up for the Big Ten and the Big Red, please.
Yes, come on, let's do it, Matt.
And I just want to see them just fizzle and turn on their coaches. We talked about Oregon and Texas and how well they're doing and how much money they have and this and that. But Oregon did not play well the other day. But I do want to talk about the physicality of USC, and that was, if they can keep that up, they are going to be very, very, do very well in the Big Ten. But I just don't see it. I talked to my friend out in LA, and he was absolutely amazed at how physical USC was.
Yep.
But the problem is that if you're playing like that, and you will be playing like that in the Big Ten every week, if you're not built to have a lot of depth and be a physical team, you're going to get worn down.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how a bunch of things play out. Fan bases and media, me included, we tend to overreact. Week 1, we're going to do it in the NFL. Somebody's going to get beat. Ravens are going to beat the Chiefs, or something's going to happen. And it's like, oh man, well this team. And then at the end of the year, so well, okay. I mean, it was a great game, but it was a lousy team, or it's a great team and that was a lousy game. It's what we do. We overreact. That being said, that's the fun of being a sports fan, is watching this stuff, reacting to it. I understand when you look at Florida State's schedule, it is certainly within reason to think that they could run the table from here on out. And that's been pointed out by some national analysts that don't sleep on them. I'm sleeping. I'm sorry. Yes. I'm watching them through these first 2 weeks. That is not – I get that they can improve. I get that the schedule is not overly challenging the rest of the way. They are not getting through the next 10 weeks, next 10 games without another L. They're just not. That defense has multiple issues, and they're not getting the consistency at quarterback that you need to have to win consistently. And I get both of those things could improve. I get that they could be a much better team by the end of the year than what they are right now, but I will be absolutely shocked if that team ends up at 10. It's just not.
Clemson?
They're not. I think if you ask me, more likely 10-2 or 6-6. It's 6-6, and it's not even close. Like I think that thing is in real danger of going off the rails altogether.
Now, like I said about the 95 Penn State team that I was on after the 94 team, it was like they went to that first game. They were going to try and win last year's national title in that game. And I'm not a real pat myself on the back type of guy. I seem to remember Thursday afternoon saying, you know what, you got Bill O'Brien out there calling plays. Florida State has not seen Boston College make one play this year.
Yep.
Whereas Boston College had 60 straight minutes of Florida State getting pounded by Georgia Tech. And they worked on that and all that during the week. And then Florida State was not ready to go at all for that game. And, dude, I was ecstatic last night for Furrow being 50.
Yeah, right there with you. I was celebrating every touchdown, every grinded out run, every step of the way. I'm right there with you. I did think it was interesting during the TV coverage. I would love to go back. It had to be at least 10-1. Shots on the sideline of Norvell, shots on the sideline. Now, got a little bit more O'Brien in the fourth quarter, but we didn't see O'Brien for like 20-minute stretches. And it's like Norvell here, Norvell there. And the storyline, and I understand it to a large degree, it was, Florida State, what this does to their title hopes. Well, how about what that win was doing on the other side of the field to the prospects for Boston College putting together some kind of a run here this season?
BC, Georgia Tech, ACC final.
Listen, I do think, we talked about it before the season began, I do think the ACC is an absolutely fascinating watch this year, because I do think there are a number of teams that could work their way into contention and be there at the end of the day. Thought at the start of the season Florida State could be one of them. Not ruling out the possibility. Again, I don't think they're running the table, but could they get to 9-3, and could that be good enough in this ACC, where I think there is a lot of parity? Maybe. Clemson's going to be an interesting watch. They certainly did not match up well with Georgia. I'm not sure anybody, with the possible exception of Ohio State, matches up well with Georgia. But we'll see how their season progresses. again, I think NC State didn't get off to the start they were hoping. They didn't look as impressive as I think the preseason hype that in Raleigh had. Now they're ranked 24th. I mean, they're not expected to be. But, and this is the other thing. So Oregon certainly did not look lights out against Idaho. And I think now, all of a sudden I've been presuming that Oregon was the biggest threat to Ohio State. Maybe Penn State could be in that conversation. And then we've talked a good bit about, all right, after those top three, who else is there? Well, now, again, one weekend, but now everybody, it's USC, not Oregon. Now, Oregon still has Ohio State at home. Ohio State looked very good, albeit I don't know what we really learned. I don't know what we're going to learn from Penn State over the next 3 weeks either, in terms of where they are in the national picture. But I think there are even more storylines starting to form here in college football to follow. Billy Napier, I think it is safe to say, Goon, that things are not going well in Gainesville and that this is not going to be the long-term solution for Florida football. I know Booch brought it up on his show, and I know there's a lot of whispers around about the possibility of James Franklin being the replacement for Billy Napier next year after this season concludes.
I thought about this.
Go ahead. I'm
pretty sure Florida's still paying Mullins. So they're going to
would be. Yes.
They're going to pay Mullins his $70 million. They're going to pay Napier his $54 million after this year. And if they were to come after James Franklin, they're paying a $54 million buyout to Penn State for James Franklin's services. So now you're at $150 million before you're paying James Franklin, if that's what they want to do.
So, and there's a few things in play here. And again, I have learned over the years that you never say no. So I'm not sitting here telling you that, good point, zero possibility. I'm just telling you, to me, it would seem really unlikely. And a few things that at least are the top of mind for me. One is, I think James Franklin is sincere when he talks about his appreciation of Pat Kraft and what is being done on behalf of his program in particular, but Penn State in general, with the athletic department. They just made the $700 million commitment, already started the renovations to Beaver Stadium. I think that there is a genuine feeling that whatever it is they want to accomplish, they're going to be given the resources here to do that with Pat Kraft in charge. Correct. So I think that is a big part of the equation to me. I also think James Franklin, and he's talked about this, I don't know that he's talked about it necessarily leading up to this season, but he has talked in the past about the fact that he does have an aspiration, the aspiration to win a national title first, and to do it, yes, as it'd be the first African-American coach to accomplish that. I understand that you certainly could do that at Ford. He could do it at Ford. I think when you look at the overall picture, though, Goon, and you look at what he has going here right now at Penn State, and I think all of these coaches believe that they could, like, I think Nick Saban, if you got truth serum in him and said, Nick, could you go turn around Indiana, make them a national title contender? Like, yeah, I could do it. Like, I think there is a confidence with these coaches in what they can do. But no matter how confident or how much bravado you have, clearly, as we sit here right now, or even at the end of this season, the likelihood of Penn State getting there more quickly than Florida is overwhelming. Now, could James Franklin or somebody else take over that Florida program, and in 2 or 3 years get them on the cusp? Sure, it could happen. But I also think this, what James Franklin has done in building up this program, and I know it's not satisfying to a lot of Penn State fans. I don't think it's satisfying to James Franklin. I don't think he sits around congratulating himself on these 10-win seasons. I think it burns at him that he wants to be beating Ohio State, he wants to be beating Michigan. He wants a national title, at least a national title here. And I just think that there is a clearer path here, both because of what he has built at Penn State, but also when you look at the Big Ten. And I do think the Big Ten is right there with the SEC in terms of toughest conferences in the country. But I think what Penn State has done with its recruiting base and with what it's built here, Ohio State is the only program in the Big Ten that I would say has a clear competitive advantage, meaning more resources, more opportunities for the student athletes there. I know Oregon has a ton of money coming in. I'm telling you, because of tradition of Penn State and the name brand of Penn State, I don't think Penn State takes a backseat even to Michigan or Oregon or USC or any of the other Big Ten programs. Not as we sit here right now when you look at the overall footprint and opportunity. I think Penn State, again, to me, it's Ohio State has an advantage over maybe everybody in the country. Certainly, at least in my mind, over anybody in the Big Ten. But I think Penn State is right there when you take the whole package of, and again, part of that is thanks to James Franklin, but of opportunity to compete for a national title. I think Penn State, again, is right there in the running anyway with whoever you would put second, third, fourth in the conference. I think in the SEC, if Franklin were to make that move, and we're getting way ahead of ourselves, and I understand it, but just looking at it, because it's something people are whispering about already, and in part because Penn State got off to a great start and Florida looked, I'm trying to imagine how they could have looked worse in that game with Miami. It was embarrassing. I mean, just flat out embarrassing if you're a Florida fan to have had to have watched that game.
Here's Perrier.
It's going to take a while but we'll pick up on that in a second. But it's going to take, no matter who, somebody is going to come in. I think it'll be after this season. I think they're going to let Napier take just endure this season. But it's not. I get that with the transfer portal, stuff could change quickly. It's not changing. Nobody's going in there to Florida next year and putting the Gators in national title contention in 2025. That's not happening. Maybe as early as 2026, 2027, you get the right hire, get the right money, all of that. But you're competing with Georgia and Alabama right out of the gate. Now you throw in Texas. Oklahoma's there, I think, in terms of programs that are also looking to make that move up. Tennessee, and I think Tennessee clearly right now has a huge leg up on Florida in trying to get into that national title conversation. So to me, if you're James Franklin, if the national title is what's driving you, much tougher path, I think, both with the Florida program and in the SEC. And again, there's no easy path to the national title. So I don't think it's, well, if he goes here, then it's easy street. Like, that's hard, man. It's going to be hard for Georgia or Ohio State. Like, it is hard to go win a national title and have everything line up the way you need it to and get the production and results that you need. But I just think it is such a much clearer path here. And I just don't, and I don't know James Franklin well, I just don't get the feeling at this point that whatever additional money Florida may or may not be able to throw at him, that's going to be enough to change the course he's on with what he's built here. And again, we'll see how this season plays out, but they are, I think, clearly, at the very least, again, knocking on the door of being one of those top 4 or 5 programs in the country. Could he do it down at Florida? Yes, but it's going to be a little further off. Again, And that just seems to me.
He'd have to give the same speech of being elite. Are we elite? That type of thing at Florida.
Yeah,
Are
and
we
I just,
there? Are we there?
and I think it's going to be a tougher path there. I really do.
And financially, it's going to be a horrible path for the University of Florida to do. You'd be paying
I think
three
that's
top.
yeah.
I mean, they would have 3 coaches that are being paid top 15 money on their payroll.
Yeah.
And I just think it would be a very, very naive, dumb move. But they have to do something. They're not going to hire a Division III coach to come in and try and get the program. I guess is the conversation we have to have is that it is out there. So you hate talking about it, but the way we played this past Saturday and how our trajectory is going straight to the moon, whereas Florida is it's just down. But best thing that happened to Florida is Florida State getting spanked last night by OB. Florida's just sitting there. They're okay, I mean, they're not going to fire me.
Not this.
No.
They're going to fire.
People were talking to me there.
Not during the season.
He said, when was the last time Florida and Florida State jobs were open? I was like, I don't know, Lee Corso and Galen Hall back in the 70s. I don't know what to say, but the Florida State thing, that's a bad one. But Florida's Florida. I mean, they have a tough road to hoe in the SEC, no doubt about it. But, I mean, I'm not a Miami person. I am not. I'm not an Mario Cristobal type of guy. And that's weird because he's an offensive lineman and stuff like that. It's odd that I don't appreciate him, but I don't like him as a coach personally. And then him going up to Florida and just stomping him, it just had to hurt Florida so bad. Yeah. And I tried to interject that Steve Spurrier, in a post-game press conference came out, and he is a University of Florida liaison or whatever, just like a good news bearer type of thing. So he's just he's being paid for them to be nice to them. And he says, I can't say this, but the guest host, the other host can say it, but that's not. It wasn't. I don't know his exact words, but he was frustrated and pretty much through with it. I don't know what the hell they're doing. And it's the SEC, man. It's a weird environment, and that's really, really all they really care about down in that area. The SEC is football, and that's an insult for them to not be where they're at right now, and to be where they're at right now, not in the top 10, not in the top 20, not even competing in games. It's got to be just such a bizarre thing to them. But again, I go back. If they're going to do that and try to go after James Franklin, I cannot imagine the finances that go into it. And then you're going to have the finances of saying, okay, well, James, you're going to have this much money to spend for the NIL. We're going to give you a $200 million. So now we're up to $350 million of just where is that coming from? That's just not being made right now. It's just not sitting there. But again, we have to talk about it because it is the elephant in the room type of thing. So there's nothing James can do about it. I mean, it's a good thing, I guess. If they're talking about him moving on, and but I want to talk about it. I think I want him to win the national title here. I want him to stay here for 20 more years. I don't think those days are over of the 70-year-old coaches anymore.
I think that's probably true.
Yeah. So it is. We have to talk about it. So we talked about it, and I think that he doesn't need to talk about it. I mean, I think that it's just everybody else is going to say a word or two.
Yeah. And again, I would be very surprised at the end of the day, but I have been surprised before. That is certainly true.
The one game I do want to say, we were completely with them.
No, I mean,
yeah,
no, you're absolutely right.
I could not. That was the one game that I had in my head that I was like, all right. I felt a couple games. I felt like Georgia was going to whoop. I thought that Penn State was going to whoop, and I thought that Virginia Tech was going to whoop. Yeah, and the USC was jumped out at me a whole bunch, and then Boston College. I wanted it to happen. I thought it was.
I really did not.
I thought there was a possibility.
I did.
And it
I
came
really
through.
did going into that.
Moving back to the show on Thursday, I'm going to say, you know what? I see OB winning this game. It just what we saw. I mean,
that one
gonna have
really
these tough, guys from Boston up there playing from the Northeast, and we know what Bill can do, and we know how Bill is such a great leader, and that these kids are going to follow him, and they're going to listen to him. And I know, I'm a little slighted towards their strength and conditioning program, but I'm telling you, you get your team attitude from your strength coach in the off-season programs. And that was a Fitz-type team out there last night, taking no crap from anybody and just dominating Florida State.
They have a bunch of fighters.
A lot of fighters out there
at Boston College. Speaking of fighters, I want to pick up on the language when we come back. You are listening to WFXS, Pleasant Gap State College. That is Sports Radio 98.7 The Fox. And we are back with more of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here at Quaker Steak Lube, where they are getting ready for the all-you-can-eat-one buffet that gets underway at 4 o'clock. And again, we are coming right back.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
The Center Hall Farm Store has been serving Center County and beyond for well over a half century. A small family business, the Center Hall Farm Store specializes in animal nutrition and manufactures its feed fresh using local ingredients. Get the best in horse, cow, pig, chicken, and bird feeds. If you're not already a customer, stop in and see why so many of your neighbors are. The Center Hall Farm Store at 110 West Allison Street in Center Hall, or call us at 814-364-1393.
The State College Spikes are hitting the field all summer long. Enjoy fun, affordable family entertainment as the future of baseball is on display in Happy Valley. Spikes games have something for everyone at the new-look Medler Field at Leblano Park. From great giveaways to fantastic deals, from special appearances to plenty of fireworks, all the way through September 3rd. For tickets, call 814-272-1711 or get the schedule and buy and download at statecollegespikes.com.
Ready to be part of something bigger? Come pave the road to success at Glen O'Habaker and discover a career where your hard work and determination can build a bigger, better future. Our team believes we can build a stronger future together. Join us at Glen O'Habaker, where we value teamwork on the field and on the job. Go to GOHcareers.com to apply. GOHcareers.com. And best of luck to all the Center County sports teams all season long from everyone at Glen O'Habaker.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
The Goon and Ironhead.
It is a Tuesday afternoon here in the Valley of Happiness, coming off the 34-12 win for the Nittany Lions over the Mountaineers in Morgantown. And the revamped Beaver Stadium will host its first game of 2024. Bowling Green comes in.
Do you know what they've done to the stadium so far?
Noon kickoff on Saturday. Yeah.
What exactly have they done?
Well, new scoreboard, new LED lighting on the new scoreboard on the south end zone.
Okay.
New LED lighting on the north end.
That's the wraparound, right? Right.
Yep.
Okay. No seating or nothing like that. Nothing that was done.
They've opened up the concourse on was it gates A and E?
Okay.
I believe so. They're saying that'll be one of the more noticeable components for fans working their way in.
Sorry to completely jump
on
on, but
Saturday.
I don't really even know what exactly they've done. I know that they put escalators in. Are they
escalators
rocking and rolling?
No, the escalators will not be in service until the Illinois.
Okay,
so
all right.
a few weeks yet till the escalators.
where
use
I'm asking them. My question was, having gone by there the other day, and I was sitting there thinking to myself, there's no way in hell they're going to get this done. But they were expecting it not to be ready before this game.
Yeah, not everything. I mean, it's being done in phases. So before we'll have a special guest on here in just a little bit, but I wanted to touch, Goon, on one of my pet peeves, and it's been a pet peeve for quite a while. I genuinely do not understand, and we had 3 examples, and I missed the one, but at least 3 examples. I'm sure we had more than that over the week. But TV coverage of sports is not live. They put it on a delay. It can be anywhere from 7 to 15 seconds, but there is a delay. And what we are told, much like we're told, well, with instant replay, we got to get it right. And then you watch the Penn State West Virginia game, and it's like, well, I thought we had the replay so we could get it right, and you're still getting it wrong. So why do we have it again? Well, what we're told is, well, we have the delay on because, my gosh, otherwise you could have language. Well,
Yes, there was.
and I do understand the difference between cable and over the air. I get it, but it's the cable has the delay too. Why can we not just? And they never catch the language, or very rarely. Maybe they do every once in a blue moon. But it feels like a good 99% of the time, good. It's like, oh, I just heard an F-bomb. And then you hear the announcers apologize. Now, they ignored it. I didn't hear the one with Katron Allen. I did hear the one
sideline.
Yes, in the second half. And that one came loud and clear. And we had kiddos in our house. And it is interesting the way you perceive that stuff if you're a single male or the father of a young man. And I'm just telling you, it's a little different perspective. And it's like, oh, man, one, why would you say that? And I don't know how common that is. And I'm naive. Maybe that every play they're throwing F-bombs and N-words around. I have no idea. But, man, I didn't know. I genuinely was not, it caught me off guard. It's like, wait, did he just say, wow, man, like not a great look for Penn State, but not a great look for Fox Sports either. And, Nick Saban, of course, got all kinds of attention on ESPN Game Day when he let the S word out. And, if you don't pay the right players, well, my question is, can we not just then go to live sports? Can you not just put up a graphic at the start of each game or several times throughout the course of the game? Hey, you're watching a live event. It is possible that you're going to hear language because we hear it anyway. Like, what is the point if you're not ever going to bleep that stuff out? And they don't, if they ever do, it is rare because, man, you hear it. I've heard it watching golf matches. I've heard it a lot in NFL games. Heard it a lot in college games. So just put up something at the start. Get rid of the delay. Let us watch it so you can try to sync up. One of the reasons I hate it is I do love listening to, for me, it's listening to baseball. I like the radio call, but you can't sync it up with the TV call because the TV's delayed. Well, why can you not just do live TV? Say you're watching a live sporting event. We apologize in advance. It's live. You're watching testosterone-driven men in a combat sport. There could be some language, and you've been forewarned. Protect your ears if you need to.
Yes,
because the reason that they have the delay, it isn't obviously working. Or we would not have heard what we heard in the second half of that Penn State West Virginia game.
Well, it sort of brings up the other fact of a couple of years ago with the Browns Steelers. When was it Duck Hodges had, or the Browns defensive end. Texas A&M, the number one player in the defense.
Oh, yeah.
When he took his helmet off and tried to kill him, Myles Garrett was saying, "Oh, well, he used the N-word." And then I told people from the start, I said, "There's 1,000 microphones on that field right there. There's no way in heck that happened because if somebody didn't pick that up."
Right.
And then the other thing I would say with the Pouncey guy, there's no way he would have protected his quarterback. He had heard his quarterback say that. So, but the sideline thing, I'm with you. If there is a 7-second delay, that you had more than enough time because that was so
and it wasn't like it was
there.
I mean, it was so. It was like they went out of their way to. I mean, I don't think that happened, but I mean, it picked it up, and it was like all you heard. Like the announcers were quiet, and there's no way if you are watching and monitoring that you're not hearing that.
And the words
saying,
you're using,
whoa,
the 2 words you're using.
Yeah,
young kids listen to that
the 2
stuff.
words that you don't want. Right? If you're a parent, and you're listing the words that you don't want your kids to hear or be around, those would be the top 2. 1 and 2. 3 words. Well, we let the top 2 fly.
There was a delay in that game. Maybe the guy had to catch a flight out of Morgantown, the guy in charge. I don't know. There's a lot of different. You're right. But as a player, there is talk out there.
Let us watch live.
There is talk out there, especially amongst the defensive backs and wide receivers. It's like their own little game out there. And half their game is verbal. I have always hated it. It's not really my thing. I never really talked on the field and stuff like that. But that is their own little battles that go on out there. And I'm saying, but like I told you, what Doc told me is that some of their fans were screaming at our players like that, and he was like, "Man, they do that to you." And I said, "Honest to God, I think my teammates would have gone crap." And these kids are just so. I'm not going to say immune. They're just so. They hear it so much that it really doesn't bother them. I mean, I'm like,
see, I really am naively thinking that it would have occurred more back in our day than it does.
I know I have never heard one of our or opposing team using that bomb yelling at our team or my players or my teams. Because if that would have happened, it would have been 100% of guys in this team, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I think that everybody's just so desensitized to it that it's like that's like talking game and expecting like talking trash now is thrown at it. Again, I never did it when I was playing. I don't appreciate it now, but I really didn't appreciate it seeing this out. And I didn't have any kids with me, thank God. You got the mad turtle next to you saying, "What did he say and why? What does that mean?" And he's got it. Hey, that's a tough conversation you're having for a guy. But it's 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon on a Saturday.
Yeah, I'm not. I asked Landon, is that something that coaches would address? And he said he didn't know. He doesn't ever remember anybody saying anything, but he wasn't sure if that happened during games. And it's one of those things. I don't know. I don't even know what I want there. Because I'm kind of one of these. I use language more than I should. My wife, God bless her, I don't know that I have ever heard her.
You're just loud, Jeff. You're just way too loud.
Well, I am loud, but off air, my language can be colorful. I've gotten better at it. I try to clean it up, but it also kind of depends who you're with, what the situation is for me. And I'm not. It's not a good thing. And I'm really of a few minds on it. And so I'm not even consistent with myself because, like I said, I'll use it. I have used it. People have been around me when it's like, dude, do you have to use yes, language? And so when there's so do I want, like I said, I'm almost conflicted with myself because at the end of the day, it's language. It's the whole words will never hurt me thing really stuck with me as a kid. It's like you can. I might not be happy about you calling me a name, but it's at the end of the day, what do I care? Really? Now if you get in my space or you're pushing me, that's different. But you can pretty much call me anything, and I'm like, not happy about it. But It's language. I don't. On one hand, adults with adults, you can. It's language. It's not that big of a deal.
My father
On the
called
other
it shop talk.
On the other hand, I do think part of what, and again, maybe I'm really naive here. I do think part of what college sports, and even with the payment involved, I still consider part of what is happening out there, whether you consider it semi-pro or college sports, I'd like to think even at the NFL level, part of what you're doing is trying to guide young people into a better way of life. And I'd like to think part of that is, yep, good sportsmanship, good language, all of that. Now, do I want punishment on anybody who lets an S word fly? No, I don't. But I guess I am hoping that somebody
referees hear it,
yeah,
and they will say, "Hey, clean it up, clean it up." If it comes out again, you'd think that they would have the audacity to throw a penalty, just unsportsmanlike type of stuff.
yeah, I'd like to think you just let your play speak for itself.
We are in agreement
like
on
to
that. You know,
But again, that being said, at the end of the day, do I think it's the end of the world? No. Do I think there should be any kind of harsh punishment? No. But man, would I rather, one, we not hear it because of the censors picking it up with Fox, but also I'd like to not hear it because, yeah, the team I'm rooting for just doesn't use that kind of language. So, again, I'm even conflicted with in what I'm saying because I don't think it's that big of a deal, but man, just so you're not. Yeah. That's
all right. Let's talk about this before we get her.
Yeah.
You and him are going to talk. Right? I'm getting food. It's all good. All right. Steelers ain't that.
On wins.
Yes.
Or
now
points in the open. Because with that offense, I'm taking the under.
Pretty good. Wow, that's a possibility. So, yes, 8.5 wins, and that would be. That's right. That's 9-8. If they didn't get,
might be the under. Yep. Yeah, that seems right. I think that's exactly where they're going to be. It's going to be an 8 or a 9 win season. They're either just going to get over the threshold or they're just going to miss for the first time under Mike Tomlin. I just think that offense is going to be really, really tough to manage. I hope I'm pleasantly surprised. I do think that defense is legit. I think the running game is legit. That's the biggest concern for me. Because coming back real quick to Penn State, the punting game is going to have to be elite for the Steelers this year. That is the biggest concern for me coming out of that Penn State West Virginia game, though. And again, it's not that I think it's not possible that Penn State will make a 50-yard kick when they need it, but there's no way you can confidently sit here and say, yeah, man, if Penn State needs 3, they got it. So that of all of the things we saw and all of the concerns, penalties, 2-point conversions, this, that, the biggest concern for me is, and James Franklin mentioned it, all 3 phases, the kickoffs, the punting. But for me, if you had to pick the one thing, the place kicking, and listen, missing a 47-yarder wide right in the game that's out of hand. Again, I'm not sitting here telling you, yep, that's a weakness, forget about it. But I do wonder and worry about Sahedic and where he's at mentally after the start last season, and then that was it. And coming out. And, Mark Brennan has told us a couple of times, the ball just sounds different off his foot. It is not a leg problem at all for him. Sahedic has, it's not the strength, it's whether he can get consistent enough getting it between the uprights to feel confident about it. And again, it's one game, one miss. I'm not sitting here telling you time to throw in the towel on him or the kicking towards. They have 3 guys battling. So, but that for me is the biggest concern because I do think whether it's at USC, at Wisconsin, home with Ohio State, there's going to be a game or 2 this year where you are going to need a field goal or a couple of field goals and need it. I mean, it's going to be the difference between you win or lose. And right now, not not in the camp that it's like they just can't get it, but I'm of the camp that, oh man, I am going to be really, really nervous if they have a clutch kick that they need right now.
Good job.
Those
Kick. So you got under over 8.5.
dude, I'm telling you, I do not have confidence in Russell Wilson or that offensive. Well, no, well, yeah, or Fields, but or that offensive line. It really worries me. I mean, it's almost smoke and mirrors what they were able to do a year ago, and I just don't know that they can do that again with that defense. I mean, I guess I'll go over just because I'm the optimist.
You can't put your defense in that situation like you did last year.
I will tell you, I'm not going over 9. I'll tell you that. I think they are in for a rougher year, and part of it is they're just in the wrong doggone division to have an offense like that. The defenses, the Bengals, Browns, and Ravens. Those are not 3 groups you want to be going up against with an offense that works. I wouldn't feel great if I had an offense. I felt good.
Fantastic offense. 8.5. Going over. It's the right play. It's definitely the right play.
I do think I'm really curious to see, because I think the Falcons are going to be a good team. I'm really curious to see how the Steelers come out of it. I'm very, very nervous about it. I don't have a great feeling about it, but it's certainly not out of the realm of possibility that they go down and win it. And if they win it, we talk about it all the time, Goon. Conference is such a funny thing, and if you can get a couple of wins out of the gate, even if they're close, even if they're fluky, even if you're getting outgained, all of that. So I mean, that's what the Steelers did last year. Say, okay, well, you find ways to win, sneak into the playoffs. Like, I mean, I don't think they're going anywhere in the postseason if they get there. I'm not expecting them to be in the postseason, but if you can get some early wins, maybe Russell Wilson looks surprisingly competent, and we'll see. I will be very surprised if the Steelers don't get to double digits.
Eagles 10.5. The over under for wins and people mugged in Brazil.
There you go. What?
I mean, I actually ashamed him.
I'd
ask our guest about his feeling on that. To be honest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
just don't understand. A regular season game on a Friday night, and then there of all of the like
everything that's going on in this
about seems to me to make sense. But where are you at?
10.5. I like the Eagles. Eye on them this year. Picking up Dotson. That's your number 3 receiver. It's not a bad thing having the tight end we normally do in Dallas. I'm okay. I'm going Super Bowl for the boys, and then for my boys, obviously, because so over 10.5 is what my play will be. I would actually say 11.5. I'd say 12 games to be honest with you, over 5. Now they started off great last year, fluttered in the end, so they gotta again, like we talked about all week. We have talking about how coaches learn and they progress from there. So we're going to see if the Eagles come out hot, can they stay hot throughout the season and not have that late season?
Yep.
You don't lose to Baker Mayfield. Monday night playoff game.
Penn State 34.5-point favorites over Bowling Green at Beaver Stadium Saturday. What say you?
My dictionary sent the mark over 24/7, and I said they're coming off of a very, very high game. They're going to keep it going. The crowd's going to be juiced up. It's nice and wound up. I think I had it 56-3 or 56-6. I think. One of those late, like Bowling Green kicks a late field goal to try and not get shut out type of thing. I like us to come out there really close and do it for the whole. I hope the weather changes because it's supposed to be really, really nice all week and then all really, really nice all next week and Sunday starting. But Saturday's in the 60s with a 80% of the rain. But I want that to be changed up a little bit. I'm with the team coming out there and beating up the field because you beat your field up early in the year, later in the year it doesn't do well for you. So let's hope the weather clears. It's a good day to go to the times.
Yeah, I do think Bowling Green by MAC standards is solid, to use the old football cliche term. I think this is a solid team. I do think Penn State is just a little different gear this year. And I do think
different gear.
Yep, and I think they're going to come out and control that line of scrimmage right from the get-go. And listen, I think that they will get a lot of players in the game in the second half, but I think that's going to be fun for the fans to get a glimpse of just how deep this roster is. And I'm kind of with you. I think at the end of the day, Penn State covers and does so pretty comfortably. I think I have 52-7 Penn State.
We were both spot on last week. 20 point plus blowouts.
Teammate of the Dear Goons, Marco Rivera, will join us when we come back. We'll take a break here. Again, the all-you-can-eat wing buffet will get underway in 30 minutes here at Quaker Steak Lube. And we are back with Marco Rivera.
4 minutes.
More. The Lion Country Kia Goon Ironhead show as we continue on this Tuesday.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
The Center Hall Farm Store has been serving Center County and beyond for well over a half century. A small family business, the Center Hall Farm Store specializes in animal nutrition and manufactures its feed fresh using local ingredients. Get the best in horse, cow, pig, chicken, and bird feeds. If you're not already a customer, stop in and see why so many of your neighbors are. The Center Hall Farm Store at 110 West Allison Street in Center Hall, or call us at 814-364-1393.
The State College Spikes are hitting the field all summer long. Enjoy fun, affordable family entertainment as the future of baseball is on display in Happy Valley. Spike teams have something for everyone at the new-look Medler Field at Leblano Park. From great giveaways to fantastic deals, from special appearances to plenty of fireworks, all the way through September 3rd. For tickets, call 814-272-1711 or get the schedule and buy and download at statecollegespikes.com.
Ready to be part of something bigger? Come pave the road to success at Glen O'Habaker and discover a career where your hard work and determination can build a bigger, better future. Our team believes we can build a stronger future together. Join us at Glen O'Habaker, where we value teamwork on the field and on the job. Go to GOHcareers.com to apply. GOHcareers.com. And best of luck to all the Center County sports teams all season long from everyone at Glen O'Habaker.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
The Goon and Ironhead.
And we are back at Quaker Steak and Lube, and Marco Rivera has exchanged the headsets with the Dear Goon, old teammates and one of the
Old roommates.
Yep, part of the greatest offensive line in Penn State history, maybe in college football history. Marco, thanks for taking the time and joining us today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Marco, I want to start. We're talking a little bit, and then I do want to catch up with you on what you're doing now and all of that. But this NFL game on Friday night with the Packers, your old team, and the Eagles, going down to Brazil, it just feels like they are asking,
for trouble.
they being the NFL, yes, for problems where, like self-created issues. Just from a former player's standpoint, does this make any sense to you? A regular season game
It does not.
on a Friday night in Brazil, and they pick, the gang colors that everybody tells you, if you go to Brazil, don't wear green. So the NFL
green
sends the
teams,
Eagles
right?
and the Green Bay Packers. Are you kidding me?
Well, let me just tell you, when it comes to the players are not happy about this game. First of all, they don't want to go to Brazil to play this game. They already and they're imposing all these rules on both teams. You can't leave the hotel. You can't wear certain colors. You can't, if you're going to leave the hotel, you got to be with an armed escort. Players now don't need to be fearing for their lives when they go play a football game. It reminds me a couple of years ago, the Dallas Cowboys and the San Francisco 49ers played in Mexico. And by the time that game was done, like the players were missing wallets and they had their rings stolen and the jewelry stolen. And that was in Mexico. I can just imagine what's going to happen down in Brazil.
Yeah.
As a player, they just want to go and play. They want to worry about the game. They want to worry about, just their opponent winning the game, doing the right things. They don't need to worry about, okay, what's going to happen in the hotel? Am I in jeopardy? Obviously, I don't think family members should be going down there.
No.
I don't think the fans should be going down there. But, when you look at these both teams, they have those fans that will want to make that trip. I know the Eagles fans will want to make that trip because they have those type of fans. What's going to happen down there with those fans? Is that safe? Is it dangerous? Yeah, it is dangerous. They're already telling them, don't wear the color green. Don't leave the hotel.
Yeah,
don't bring money. Don't bring jewelry. Don't bring this. Why is the NFL doing this? To expand the game of football? But they don't need to expand it. The NFL football is NFL football all around the world. You can't compete. If they want to compete with soccer, they're going to lose because soccer is the king around the world, not American football. So the NFL should just stick with what they do good here in the States. Maybe have a game in England, maybe have a couple games in Germany, but that's about it.
Yeah, this one just, it really does not make sense. It's not like the NFL has crazy popularity in Brazil, whereas there is some growing interest in England or in Germany, and there are parts of the world where it is some growing interest. South America is just not one of those. And then when you factor in again just the danger involved with this, it really does make you wonder about what the league is thinking here. Why they're risking this. To me, it just makes absolutely zero sense.
But how you gonna protect the players on the field? You're playing in a huge venue, big stadium, a lot of people coming in. How do you protect the players? The players are going to be wondering, are we safe playing this game? Is something going to happen where we're going to have to head for the freaking locker rooms? But it's I don't know why when I saw this game, I'm part of the Green Bay Packer alumni board, and they even told us because at first we were going to go to the game as the board, because we're the alumni, we were going to take some alumni guys with us. But that was all squashed when they started imposing all these rules and do's and don'ts for the game. We basically said, okay, no, the alumni guys, we're all out. This is not safe for us. There's nothing we want to do here.
Marco, for folks that don't know, maybe just catch us up a little bit on what you've done. I think a lot of Penn Staters followed you through your NFL career, but I'm guessing there's a good number of our listeners that are like, whatever happened to Marco Rivera after he left the NFL? Because you've been a pretty active individual out there. But catch us up a little bit on what you're doing.
I've obviously played with the Packers and, got a free agent contract with the Cowboys. And played a couple years with the Cowboys, and I retired. Injury, basically, my back gave out, and I couldn't go anymore. So I retired with the Cowboys, After that, I went down to Miami. I was the assistant online coach with the Dolphins, on and off, like not full time for the first couple years, but then I became the full time assistant guy there right around 2010, 11, and 12, just when that whole bullying thing happened in Miami. You know, that's going back a little whiles, but that whole thing with Richie Incognito and Jonathan Martin, those were my guys. Those were the guys that were in the O-line room. And Jimmy was the O-line coach at that time, Jimmy Turner, who I think he's an excellent offensive line coach. He's out of football right now, but he at that time was the head guy there, offensive line coach. I was his assistant. And I'll say this, you know, that whole thing that happened down there was just an unfortunate event. Jonathan Martin was just he was a great kid. Richie Incognito was just I'll call him just, you know, he liked to bust. He liked to give you a hard time, you know, but he did love Jonathan Martin, and I believe that whole thing got just blown out of proportion. A lot of people lost their jobs. And that was enough for me to decide, you know what, I'm going to take a step back from this pro football coaching. And I started coaching my boys in high school football. I have three young men. I was able to coach them in high school football for about 8 years. I got them young and got them through the high school. You know, they all graduated. And that last one graduated 2 years ago. And at that time, I was the head coach and athletic director of their high school. Once he graduated, my youngest one graduated, I decided to take a step back because I was kind of a little burnt out from high school football. It's not like when I played high school football. Today's high school football and really today's high school sports in a whole, you got to deal with a lot of parents. Yeah. Parents do not understand to stay home or stay in the stands. Nobody wants to hear from you. You know, the worst thing you could do is start complaining about the coach, or, you know, my son's not doing this or my daughter's not doing this, and then I get into playing time, because that just doesn't help. It does not help. It wears out the coaches, and you get a lot of good coaches that don't want to coach anymore because of the parents. And, you know, my wife now, she's the assistant athletic director. When I stepped down, they hired her because they couldn't have me anymore. So they wanted her. So they got her, but she's still dealing with those same parents, you know, and it's just sad. So for the last couple of years, I've been doing a lot of traveling, been coming back to Penn State, watching the Nittany Lions play, been going to Green Bay. Like I said, I'm part of their alumni board. Been going there a lot, doing a couple Cowboy games since I am alumni Dallas Cowboy. I don't say that very especially here. We're in Philly Eagles territory around here. But hey, they didn't want me when I was a free agent, so I had to go to Dallas. But yeah, that's what I've been doing. I've been having a great time. I'm good. I'm healthy. You know, I'm happy. So it's all good.
What did you see? Oh, well, I'm presuming you watched the West Virginia game on Saturday. What did you see? And Goon and I were talking a little bit about the offensive line in particular. What did you see? Did you like it as much as Goon and I did?
You know what? I did. It was a classic first game jitters. You know, guys were excited to start the season on both sides of the ball. You know, when you look at our Penn State guys, was it perfect? No, it wasn't perfect, but there was a lot of things they did that you're like, wow, these guys are pretty good. You know, it's like these guys are legit here. And, you know, because West Virginia was not a pushover. They were going to Morgantown down there. And I've played down there, so I know what that's all about. You know, that's a different type of fan down there. And for our boys to go down there and pull off that win the way they did, you know, was it perfect? No, it wasn't. You know, it was some mistakes, but it's something they won the game, which is the first thing you need to do is win that game. Now they're coming home. I love their home opening record. It speaks high about the boys. They're going to be ready to play, even though it's not an opponent that is going to put the fear of God in our boys. Matter of fact, I hate playing opponents like this because you never know what you're going to get. And I hope our boys are mature enough not to play down to that level, because they're the better team, the better athletes. They should. I mean, I think the spread is 35 points. They should cover that in the first half. If not, I'll be very surprised. So I think this Penn State team is probably going to be competing for the Big Ten championship here by the end of the year. That's how I feel about the boys.
Marco, how much do you wish you had the college football playoffs? I don't know, maybe to pick a year at random, 1994.
Let me tell you. All right.
Good. If I ask you that, I can take the next 15 minutes off. So
that
ahead,
is as
Marco.
fresh in my soul as it's almost like it happened yesterday. Well, I'm going to say this, all right? And I don't say this very, very gingerly. When I came here in 91, obviously the Goon and I, we were part of that #1 recruiting class. We were good and to the point where we were the practice squad and we were beating up the starters. That's how good we were. One of the things, and I love Joe Paterno. I love everything he did. This is why I came here. I feel that he held us back. When you have a team like the 94 Nittany Lions, granted, it was a different type of football. Back then, there was respect in the game between the coaches. If you had a good team, you didn't want to run up the score. But what happened to us that year was an unjust. It's travesty. It's the biggest travesty in college football sports. Why? Because we had a team that should have won the national champion, but they gave it to Nebraska, and here we are in the hotel watching that game, and they freaking declare them national championships, and we didn't even play the game yet. We got Oregon, and I'm sorry, but that's the best the Big Ten had to give that year is Oregon. Yeah. And we beat them, and we were undefeated. But getting back to Joe, we had 2 guys up for the Heisman. None of them won it, right? We could have had Kajana Carter. He could easily be 2,600 yard rusher, easily. Kerry Collins could have padded up his freaking stats even more, right? Why? Because he pulled us out at halftime. It was maybe because we were so good that he didn't want to leave us in there. But when you're beating, we had to make statements to the other teams that we needed to blow out. Like now, you'll see nobody's going to get pulled out of the game now. Everybody, you score at will, and you let the chips fall as they may. But back in the day, Joe had this code, and it was respect for the other team. You know what? We're going to win the game. Once we secure that game, we're going to pull the starters out, right? I can tell you, most of the time in the fourth quarter, Keith and I weren't in the game. Kajana Carter was not in the game. Kerry Collins was not in the game. Kyle Brady was not in the game. Bobby Ingram was not in the game. Think about leaving us in that fourth quarter. What could have happened? A couple more yards for Kajana, a couple more touchdown passes for Kerry, a couple more pancake blocks for the Keith Collins and myself. I mean, love the guy, but he held us back, and that cost us dearly. It cost us in Heisman trophies, cost us All-Americans, cost us the national championship, because at the end of the day, they say, Nebraska could do this. Penn State couldn't do this. Nebraska won by this much. Penn State won by this much. Nebraska has this Russian guy. What was his name? Rashan Salam.
That was the Colorado.
He's the one that won the
Heisman. Yeah.
He got 2,300 yards rushing or something, 2,200 yards rushing.
Yeah.
We could have easily passed that with Kajana Carter.
Yeah, the entire year.
That's incredible.
Kajana was
That's incredible. So
3 times. So.
I mean, it's still here. It's still fresh. The wound is still here. It doesn't heal. So whenever you talk about that 94 team, which we're coming back this year for the Illinois game, because it's our 30th anniversary. 30th. Oh my gosh, 30 years.
Yeah, that can't be right. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that can't be right.
30 years. My goodness.
It does fly. Goon has talked often about how precise the offensive line was in that first play against Oregon with Kajana's touchdown run. As I understand it,
that's how good we were.
You might not have been precise, but I think everybody else on the line hit their blocks according to.
No, nobody blocked anybody that first. I mean, half of us went this way, the other half way. We all ended up on our faces, and Kajana just did what he did and just ran 80 yards.
Boys.
We all got up and we kind of looked at each other and started high fiving, ran off to the sideline, and the coaches are high fiving us. And at that time, Craig Service, our offensive line coach, he was like, "Great job, guys." We were laughing. I'm like, "Hey, I didn't block a soul." Oh God, that was great.
Sometimes, what is it? Better to be lucky than good. And
yeah.
Kajana kind of created that law.
Here's another little competition within Penn Staters that you might not know about, but that '86 national championship team. I know a couple of those defensive guys. Rogers Alexander and oh my God, the nose tackle. Keith, who's the nose tackle for the '86 team? And the other one, Bob White. So Bob White and Rogers Alexander. Every time I see him, I'm like, guys, if you guys want to line up, we just need 5-4. Give us 6 or 7 plays. We just want to see what would happen. Our offensive line against your defensive line and linebackers. Let's just give a little taste. But they have not come to the table yet.
Not taking you up on it yet.
No, well then they were like, oh, we're a couple years older. I'm like, it don't matter. It's all right. Oh, Bobby.
That's maturity, is what that is. They would have the advantage there.
Well, if you look at Bob White still looks like he could play. So I don't know about so much as Alexander. Alexander's got, he's got a little pot belly, but he'll be fine.
Marco, I think when you made the transition to the NFL, take me through that a little bit. How well did Penn State prepare you? What was the toughest part when you got to the Packers? And then I want to talk about how your life just went completely off course and you ended up with the Cowboys. But before we get to that, what was that transition like?
The transition, it's pretty intimidating, because as an offensive lineman, we had a lot of success here at Penn State, and then when you get to the pros, especially, I went to the Green Bay Packers. They won the Super Bowl that year, and they had the #1 defense. That was devastating for a young rookie offensive lineman going up against Gilbert Brown, Santana Dotson, Reggie White. I mean, that's not easy, and I have to practice against those guys. So there was a big learning curve. First of all, the speed of the game is a lot different. I mean, when you look at Gilbert Brown at 340 pounds running a 4.8, when you look at Reggie White, and everybody in the state of Pennsylvania knows who Reggie White is. Yeah. At any time or at any play, he could throw you 5 yards in either direction or just run right over you. So I had to practice against those guys since day one. So my mentality was okay, they're bigger, they're faster, they're stronger, they have more, they have more of that veteran experience. What do I need to do to freaking survive in this league? So 2 things I did. I'm like, okay, I need to rededicate myself in the weight room. I need to get a lot stronger, faster, and I need to become a student of the game. At Penn State, we are a student of the game. Yes, I like to think we were, but not really, because when I got to the pros, that's when I really learned how to watch film on your opponent. And I started watching film on my practice film. How was my technique, my steps, where my hand placement, because I was just as big as those guys, maybe not as strong, but that was going to come in the weight room. What can I do to at least even the score? And that's what I did. I committed myself to watching film, lifting more than everybody else, doing all the little things the coaches wanted me to do. And really, it's just focusing on your technique. So I became known as more of a technician, So, even though sometimes even the perfect technique is not going to beat Reggie White, I can't tell you if I ever beat that guy in practice on one-on-one. I really don't. I don't think I ever did. Now, Gilbert Brown, I have. Santana Dotson, I have. Gabe Wilkins, I have. But Reggie, no. I mean, then again, there was a level of respect for Reggie. You just gave him a good look, and you didn't do anything else to anger the man. Because when that happened, it was a bad day for you. So But you know what? That's why I became the player I became, because I practiced against those guys and they forced me to learn the game through really the professional eye. And, I got 9 years in Green Bay. I'm in the Packer Hall of Fame, a couple 3-year Pro Bowl, 3-year Pro Bowls. I should have been a 5-year Pro Bowl, but it was impossible to break in there. Freaking Larry Allen was in there for freaking a decade. So
that's a fact.
But I was fortunate enough to get drafted by the Packers, go to the Super Bowl that year. Almost spoiled, because we go back to 97. We obviously lose that one, but I thought it was like a yearly event. Like at Penn State, you go to bowl games every year. You're expected. And then when I get to Green Bay, boom, get the Super Bowl ring and go back in 97. And then it's the last time I've ever been to the Super Bowl, because it doesn't happen every year.
Marco, when you watch this Penn State team, what stood out to you, I guess, against West Virginia? Because it does feel different to me. And I told Goon, I think they just have two elite coordinators right now. I think both Andy Kotelnicki and Tom Allen are among the top 4 or 5 coordinators in the country on each side of the ball. And and obviously, they have the athletes. You have to have the athletes. But I feel like, for the first time in a while, it feels like Penn State shouldn't just hold its own. I think much more often than not, Penn State's going to win the chess match. And, again, it helps that you have the pieces out on the board that they do as well.
I think they're playing with a lot more confidence, the boys. And they look like they're an experienced group, like they know what they want to do and how to get it accomplished. And there's in the years past, when you look at, even when Saquon Barkley played here, I saw it in him, but the guys around him didn't believe. Saquon obviously believed, because he was a tremendous player.
Yeah.
And he could make things happen at any given time. But this team, I feel like the 11 guys on offense believe, and the 11 guys on defense believe, even special teams, that they're supposed to be good. They're going to win the game. And it's not like they're going to win it by like 3 points, but they demand to win it by a lot of points. And they're playing like that. They have a certain level of savviness going on right now, even though it was a first game against West Virginia. I'm actually glad they played West Virginia, because if they would have played like Bowling Green last week, we would have spent here with a lot of questions going, well, yeah, they're supposed to beat that team that much. And, they're supposed to be, so if they really didn't play that good, you're like, oh, God, what happened? But like I said at the opening of the show, West Virginia is not a pushover. They're going to beat people this year. So I'm glad that was a good first opponent for Penn State on the road in Morgantown with that fan base. It said a lot about our players. I think our players are much more mature than they were in the years past.
Marco, final question for you. Any desire to get back into the coaching ranks at any level? Is that something that you think you might do in the future?
I'll never close the door to that, because I love football. It's my passion. I kind of, everything I do is, I'm an offensive lineman. I would love to coach offensive linemen. I played a long time in the league, and, obviously I got coached by great coaches. So if the opportunity arises, I would definitely look it and take it. It's just, it's easier now, because like I said, I got my 3 boys, and they're in college now, and they're not home. And, the wife could come with me if I go to, because that's the toughest part on coaches, is leaving your family behind, because you have the young boys and they're in high school. You don't want to pull them out. So that was a factor for me leaving Miami and going back home. But now we don't have that. Now, I got 3 grown men. They're in college. They've got their own lives going. So the decision is a lot easier for me.
Marco, thank you for the time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, man. Always good to see you.
Oh, yeah.
Marco Rivera joining us here at Quaker Steak and Lube. Again, Goon and I will be off Thursday. Landon Tangwall and Chris Buganani, the Booch, will be filling in for us. And we will be back a week from today. Go Nits. Take care of business here against Bowling Green. And again, we'll be back a week from today. Thursday, it'll be Booch and Landon Tangwall here with another edition of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show. Until Thursday, be good and Be safe.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
The Center Hall Farm Store has been serving Center County and beyond for well over a half century. A small family business, the Center Hall Farm Store specializes in animal nutrition and manufactures its feed fresh using local ingredients. Get the best in horse, cow, pig, chicken, and bird feeds. If you're not already a customer, stop in and see why so many of your neighbors are. The Center Hall Farm Store at 110 West Allison Street in Center Hall, or call us at 814-364-1393.
The State College Spikes are hitting the field all summer long. Enjoy fun, affordable family entertainment as the future of baseball is on display in Happy Valley. Spike teams have something for everyone at the new-look Medler Field at Leblano Park. From great giveaways to fantastic deals, from special appearances to plenty of fireworks, all the way through September 3rd. For tickets, call 814-272-1711 or get the schedule and buy and download at statecollegespikes.com.
Ready to be part of something bigger? Come pave the road to success at Glen O'Habaker and discover a career where your hard work and determination can build a bigger, better future. Our team believes we can build a stronger future together. Join us at Glen O'Habaker, where we value teamwork on the field and on the job. Go to GOHcareers.com to apply. GOHcareers.com. And best of luck to all the Center County sports teams all season long from everyone at Glen O'Habaker.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.